The gates are back and racing.
They got very tight, but normally wins a Cox Plate.
A century of the very best.
Okay, Believer, she's the champ.
Thomas the hour, Thomas the legend.
Welcome to Gatecrashers, the podcast, episode 2. Yes, they let us back for another week. I'm Roger Aldridge, and once again, I'm going to be joined by some of the biggest names in racing and also some of the best analysts. Your job, though, is to work out who's who. Some of our panelists might actually be both. Nick Quinn will be here, of course. He's going to look at Adelaide this week, as will the lovely Britt Taylor after a big week in the West. She's no doubt on the come down from the Quokka. She'll have the best for Perth. Jared Timms has got his best for Brisbane as the Queensland Carnival approaches. And Ollie, the GOAT. Is he still the GOAT? Damien Oliver makes his Gatecrashers podcast debut. Of course, he was a favourite from the TV show, and he'll be delivering his thoughts on the Flemington card. We're going to kick off, though, with the boss. Glenn Boss has got his thoughts on Royal Randwick. Bossy, it's not the championships now. It's a pretty stock standard race meet. That doesn't mean you can't make money, and you're going to try and make money pretty early in the program.
Yeah, there's plenty of races there to be won and lost, so let's go and make some money. But we're going to make money early. I'm looking at race 1, extremely tempted. This Gay Waterhouse and Adrian Bott trained horse, I think it'd probably be about 3 or 4 to 1. Was very impressive at debut winning. I think it'll go on its winning ways. And then you're going to back it up in race 3, Gelasis, trained by Chris Waller. It's had one run back, improving type, can win.
Yeah, Gelacious is at $9.50, so some value there from the boss man. And, well, it's not going to be Waller McDonald this week at Randwick because J-Mac's obviously riding over in the Adelaide Carnival. But sticking with the powerhouse stables of Waterhouse and Bott and also Chris Waller. Bossy, we're going to bring in our old mate Quinny now because I want to have a little bit of a discussion. I want to have a discussion about a couple of Godolphin types in Tentaris and also Observer. Now, we've seen them retired this week, and Quinny, I'm going to start with you. Do you feel as a racing fan, and above all, you're a racing fan, have we been robbed of 2 of the best potential horses to go on as 4 and 5-year-olds?
Look, there's no doubt it's better as a racing fan if these horses race on. I understand why they retire them early. There's so much money in the breeding barn, but we look back on the horses that we fell in love with that helped create racing fans and link generations, and I go back to Octagonal and Lonhro. Octagonal had 28 career starts for 14 wins, and then his son Lonhro had 35 starts for 26 wins. So horses that can have a really good racing career and then go to stud, it's the best case scenario. Lots of other examples from that period as well. Elvstrom and his younger brother Harada's son, and not too long after, a horse Bossy knows very well, So You Think. Now, all those horses did it on the racetrack, have done it on the breeding barn. Doing one does not mean you can't do the other.
Bossy, as a jockey, you get a bit of an extra commission if you ride a high-priced stallion to a Group 1 win, do you not? And does that make you want to rush them off to stud so you get your paycheck a bit earlier?
Well, that's not always the case, but yeah, that can be the case. But yeah, I feel a bit robbed. Even recently, we had Animo who raced on and on. You know, like if I'm a breeder, potential breeder, I'd like to see a colt that's been genuine, has raced to he's 5 years old, has been sound, and has raced at a very good level for quite a long time. And that's the sort of colt that I'd be like to breed into. They're just shipping them off very early these days, barely 3. And I don't know the particular reasons why they retired this particular horse early, but it seems to be happening a bit too often.
Quinny, they'd been a little bit flat this preparation, both of them. I personally thought, Tentaris might be the best sprinter in the country, and Observer looked like a really progressive stayer. They haven't gone on with it this preparation. Do you think it was a matter of Godolphin going, wow, we don't really want to tarnish their record any further?
Look, potentially, but do we feel there's going to be a huge demand for Observer at stud anyway? We've seen that sort of Stain type really struggle to attract a lot of broodmares. So that was the one that surprised me more, to be honest, because I thought Observer might have been able to grow a little bit more and maybe still improve his racecraft as well, because he did do a little bit wrong. Tentaris, I can probably understand it a little bit more, although it's equally as disappointing because that was the horse that had a lot of tongues wagging when he produced that scintillating performance first up.
Bossy, what was one horse that you rode that got retired too early in your eyes? Can you think of one that maybe you would have loved to have seen race on a little bit more because you thought there was a little bit or a lot potentially left in the tank?
Oh, yeah. One colt I wish I got to ride more often was a horse called Yes, Yes, Yes. Like he actually was injured in a trial when he was making his comeback. But oh my God, he was one horse that would have kept me in the saddle for another couple of years riding if he was around, because he was just an absolute weapon. And I would have loved to seen him develop and grow and get stronger, because he would have been probably winning more Everests in the future if he was around.
And that's the beauty as a jockey, I suppose. You can continue to race on and also go to stud at the same time.
Correct.
Hey, Bossy, hopefully we're screaming yes, yes, yes after your tips deliver us at Royal Randwick. Thank you very much for your time. We'll chat to you next week on Gatecrashers.
Got you, Rog. Thank you, mate.
Quinny, you're going to stick around, of course, because you have been tasked with finding us a couple of winners for Morphettville this weekend. It's a Group 1 meet over in Adelaide. The focus is there. Jamie Mellum's there. J-Max there. Waller's going for a Group 1 win 200 if he can get. He's on 198 at the moment. You've got well over 200 wins in the bank for punters over the journey. What have you got for us this weekend?
Well, hopefully we can add to that here, Rog, because I think it looks a pretty good betting card at Morphettville on Saturday. Obviously, the 2 feature races, and that's where I find one of my specials. My best bet for the day, race 7, number 2, Get a Good Feeling. A perfect 2 from 2 this preparation. You might recall this was the horse that was beaten as an odds-on favourite in the Victoria Oaks in the spring. I think she'll redeem on Saturday. And I think at around the $3.10 quote, very happy to be with her. I think she's a class above her opposition. And I like one on an each-way basis. Now, the theme to the show has been these colts retiring prematurely. Now, the horse I like here, a nice each-way quote, and if only he knew what was on the line. Because if he races well, he stays entire. If he doesn't, the gelding operation. But I think Rosberg, the horse we saw win so impressively on debut, can bounce back and get the job done. Race 6, number 4 at Morphettville on Saturday. I'm playing each way. And if only we had a horse whisperer to say, mate, it's in your best interest you run really well today.
Yeah, I don't know whether too many of the punters have forgiven Rosberg for his subsequent 2 runs after that magnificent win on debut. It's going to be interesting to see what Clinton's done with him over this little let-up. And like you say, Get a Good Feeling. That 2,000 metres really does look her sweet spot. Now, the VRC Oaks, which she was favourite for and failed, that's obviously 2,500 metres. The Australasian Oaks, that's 2,000. I think that's why it's such a huge tick. I'm actually surprised she's gone up the price she's gone up.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've had plenty worse bets at worse odds than her to be able to triple our money. She just, for mine, looks to have more X factor. 3rd into the preparation looks ideal. And she's come back so brilliantly this preparation. I mean, winning first up over the 1,200 metres is testament to that.
Absolutely. All right, Quinny. There's no worse bets here on Gatecrashers. We only give our listeners the best. We'll chat to you next week. Who knows we're going to be punting next week, but we know we'll be talking to you nonetheless, and we look forward to it.
Outstanding, Rog. Thanks as always.
Let's head west now, and Britt Taylor joins us with the best for Perth racing. And Britt, before we get to this week, just remind us last week, were yours each way chances you were giving us?
I hope they were, because they all placed, Rog. 3 selections, all placed, and you know what I did? I backed them outright.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's generally what I do too, except mine don't always come in 2nd or 3rd. They're usually 5th, and it doesn't matter how I place them. But what have you got for us this weekend? Because what a magnificent weekend of racing in Perth last weekend. Before we get to this week, geez, the quokka has really taken off. And I think we saw that because I reckon it took away a little bit from the all-age stakes, and it was a fantastic race once again. And Jigsaw, the story that just keeps on giving.
It's unbelievable. The job that Cindy has done with Jigsaw is simply incredible. I was there at Cranbourne the night that he won the Apache Cat, and I remember interviewing her straight after the race, talking about the fact that, you know, it'd been so long since he'd last won. What was the secret to getting his success? And she just had so much praise for Logan. And then the story has just kept on going and going and going. He's gone to New Zealand. He's come to Perth. I just don't think it can be overstated, the job she's done to travel him, to place him in the right races as well. You know, on maybe those slightly lesser quality races along the way, to be able to keep this winning streak going. She's done an amazing job. He's an incredible horse. And you knew that Ascot would suit him. It was only the barrier draw that was concerning, because if Cabela's had a bled, he had to do it from outside the leader, but in the end he was able to find the front, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah. Is that the dog was pretty happy with it too, by the sound of it?
The dog's very happy with it. I reckon he backed Jigsaw because he's gotten all up and about this.
Who knows where this story is going to go next, and I can't wait for the spring. And for those listeners who are wondering, no, Britt is not in the bathroom. It's an empty room, and there's a microphone coming. And this is what happens when you start a podcast. We've got the gear ready to go. Next week, she's going to sound like John Laws. Well, maybe not as deep as John Laws, but
well, I hope not. I hope it's not sounding that deep. But yes, no, you need an engineering degree to put these things together. This might be more of a job for you, Rog, than it is for me.
I can assure you, engineering was certainly not my forte. Let's get to this week's tips, though. What do you got for us as we race once again at Ascot?
Well, last week I tried to play the back part of the card, and we know how that's ended with all these placings. This week I'm just spacing it all across the day, and we start with race 1, a horse called God's Rapture. She's at a decent price that she's opened up at, and I just think when you look back at her career, she had 10 starts, and the majority of those have been in black type races. She's raced against some really quality horses. Have a look at her last start. She got held up until the 100. She was travelling really strong. She's drawn 1. And I'm just hoping, in trials, everything, she's shown a bit of tactical speed. So she doesn't have to be as far back as she has been in a lot of her races. So if she can jump with them and if she could hold leaders back, that would be ideal, because I think she's got the talent to run over the top of them. If she's 3 back the fence, we just need a little bit of luck, but I think she has the ability to win race number 1.
God's Rapture. It's very ominous naming, but I can see it's out of or by playing God. Where are we going? Hopefully, you're playing God when it comes to tipping this weekend, Britt. Where are we going next for you to deliver us some more cash?
All right, so I think Simon Miller's going to have a good day. So my next 2 plays are with the one and only Simon Miller. We're going to go with Smooth Mover. This horse trialled really well. Just looked so effortless in his trial, high cruising speed. He beat a horse called Hot and High, who's a 3-year-old I have a lot of time for, who'll be returning to the races very soon. So Smooth Mover, I think, can get us the cash. And then in the last, this is a little track work tip. I was casting my eye over the gallops on Tuesday morning, and I stood next to Simon as he had his stopwatch out, and 6-inch heels in the last worked superb. He turned to me and he said, "Britt, that one's for you. That'll be winning."
Oh, I like it. I'd like to see Simon in 6-inch heels too. I think that would be a hell of a sight. I have a horse with Simon Miller that hasn't been in the races yet, so I'm hoping that he's just as positive when Russian Around starts hitting the track over there in the West.
Is it a Russian to the bar? That's excellently named. A Russian Revolution?
It's a Russian Camelot.
Russian Camelot,
so
okay.
Russian Around, but from what I can understand, it's going to win a Cox Plate. That's all. It's just what I'm getting at. A Ladbrokes.
I like it. Russian to the bar, another horse that's racing at Ascot on Saturday. So there's plenty of Russians around.
There is, which isn't always a good thing. And on that note, Britt, we will chat to you next week when you are, perfectly set up, like a golden
professional
DJ. Professional. Yeah, let's go with that. We'll chat to you then. Thanks, Britt.
Thank you.
All right, let's shift our focus to Brisbane now. Racing at Eagle Farm this weekend, Jared Timms is our Queensland guru. And as a man from Sydney, Timsy, you wouldn't be in light called a Queensland guru, would you? Especially with Origin just around the corner.
No, absolutely not. And just for everyone watching at home, listening at home, it's called State of Origin, not State of where you live. I did grow up in Queensland, but I live in Sydney again now, State of Origin, and I'm a New South Welshman. You're right, Rog.
There you go. All right, Mr. New South Welshman, give us the best bets for Queensland. Deliver. We don't care where you're from, as long as you make us money this weekend on Gatecrashers. And like I said, we're really warming into the carnival. I think next week we're going to have some very good races. Where are we starting in terms of your bets this week?
Absolutely. We're going to kick off nice and early this week, Rog. Race number 2, and it's actually my best bet on the program here. I'm looking at Daggers, the former Busserton and Young galloper from down here in Victoria. I am this week, up with Tony Gollan now in second up. Now, I was actually pretty keen on him fresh from a spell in his first Queensland start here. He was stepping out over 1,000 metres that day. Ultimately, it just proved a little bit too short, a little bit too sharp. He was doing his best work late and through the line, but he just couldn't make up the ground on the runaway winner that day. We're getting out to 1,200 metres this week. He is a horse that tends to enjoy a really good second-up improvement as well. And Eagle Farm is a very big track, Rog, so I think he's going to get his chance here. He hasn't won a race since his second career start. That's probably the question mark, but the way that he's going, placed this week, I don't think he's going to get a better chance in a Saturday Metro race. So Daggers, he's my best bet of the day.
I remember talking to Nat just after that win that you spoke of there. She had a really high opinion of this horse, so clearly not one that's gone on with it. But as we know, that the sun up in Queensland can do wonders for a horse. Where are we going next, Tibbsy?
We're going to go into the Ladbrokes Mick Dittman Plate next, Rog. It's the first feature race on the program. And another one up, one up from Sydney, actually, this week. Peter Snowden has Acacia here, second up from a spell. And I think she is just beautifully placed here. Now, I thought she was good without a lot of luck. Down at Rosehill, first up from a spell. She was stepping out in an open grade race and finished behind a pretty good one in Point and Shoot that day. Now, she is also a horse that tends to enjoy a really good second up improvement, Rod. She's yet to finish worse than second at this point of her preparation. She's drawn and weighted really, really well this week. I think with even luck in the run, I really can't find a reason why she's not going to be in the finish as well.
Now, we like value in the quaddie. And when you sent through your tips, I thought, oh, this is good. This is good if we try and get a nice, big, fat quaddie home at Eagle Farm on Saturday. Your value bet, Timsy, please.
Yes, really, really looking forward to this race, Roger. I actually think it's the best one on the program. I'm talking about the Princess Stakes race number 8. And you're right, I think there's a really good opportunity at value here. It is Burn the Sky, who was another Sydney sider, actually. She was enormous in the Group 3 Kembla Classic 2 starts back. That's a 1,500 metre race, obviously, south of the border there. Did her best work late, and she beat home a horse called Profoundly that day, who has come out and since recorded a really big win and an Adrian Knox Stakes, and she was very, very good in an Australian Oaks as well. Now, this girl, Burn the Sky, also stepped out in the Adrian Knox Stakes last time out. I thought perhaps she just didn't quite get the 2,000 metres that day. So getting up to Brisbane here, 1,600 metres back into what arguably looks a weaker race as well, I beg your pardon. I think she's going to get her chance, and she's trading at around the $12 mark at Ladbrokes. So I think she looks a terrific each-way bet. I seriously think she's a good winning chance.
Yes, very, very tasty for Burn the Sky. I think it's just at $10. So some people might have just heeded your call there.
Okay.
Coming to tens. Now, there's also value in getting favourites beaten.
Yes.
If you can take out a favourite, who are you potting this week?
Well, that's actually where we found our success last week in Brisbane, Rog. It was a bit of a tough start to my debut on Gatecrashers here, but we did get a couple of the lays beaten that day, which was nice. And the one that I'm looking to lay this week is race 6, number 6, About to Explode. Now, he has turned in some pretty nice performances this side. I'm not taking away from that, but I think this is a pretty good race, this one. I give a really good chance to a few other horses in the field here, Hatchet, Restonica, and I just think that this bloke, About to Explode, might be a bit of a false favourite. So keen to take on race 6, number 6, About to Explode.
At least the horses you expect to get beaten get beaten. Generally, I'm moody on the mic when I give my best for the weekend. That means it gets beaten. So, I think your way is much better. All right, the New South Welshman who focuses his form on Brisbane and is currently in Victoria, Jared Timms. We'll chat to you next week on Gatecrashers.
Thanks, Raj. Good to be here.
Okay, time now to focus on Flemington, and joining us to do Flemington is a man who's had plenty of winners at Flemington over the years. They have been on the back of a horse. This is in terms of the punt. Damien Oliver joins us for the first time on the Gatecrashers podcast. G'day, Ollie. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Rog. Thanks for having us aboard. Nice to be on board, especially at headquarters at Flemington.
Oh, we love having the GOAT with us on the Gatecrashers podcast. You're going to be doing Victorian races each week, and we are at headquarters tomorrow, and you want to get money early.
I like a couple early and one late to finish off with. So let's hope we can cash in a bit early, get a bit of a bank early and finish off strong.
All right, where are we starting?
I like one a bit of value in the first. Karaka, this horse for Kieran Maher, I reckon he's set to peak here. He's had a run over 2,400. Now he's second run at the distance. A lot of apprentices in this race, and I reckon Bo Mertens is going to cash in here while the big jockey's away. This horse, I think, can be ridden a little bit more quieter here and be strong late at around $8 each way. I think he's good value.
That's tremendous value. And there's, I said more value is a running double. And you're sticking with Bo in race 2 as well.
Yes, Carridoo in race 2. A good last start winner. Looks very promising, this horse. Another one for Bo Mertens.
All right, I'm cashed up. I'm having a great day. And we're looking to late in the day now for Ollie's third best on the program.
Yeah, coming home strong with Zakuma. Big last start winner at Flemington. I think this horse loves a big track here. I still think there's plenty of upside with this horse. He's going to keep improving and he's going to go to another level. At 2,000 metres here at Flemington really suits. Come home strong. Another Bo Mertens runner and Graham Begg. I've tipped him to have 2. So Bo could be a sneaky bet in the Jockeys Challenge as well while these bigger name jockeys away and the apprentices there. I think Bo set to have a big day.
Alrighty, well, if you're having a jockey challenge bet, Bo is your boy. Ollie, thank you very much for your time on Gatecrashers. We'll chat to you next week. That is all for this edition of Gatecrashers, the podcast. Hopefully we gave you some insight and entertainment with our star-studded panel assessing racing from across the country. Thanks for watching or listening. We'll see you next week.
You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.